remember who said this line. You got to find what you love. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, then keep looking and don't settle. Anybody? These were the famous lines by Steve Jobs during his speech to the graduating students at Stanford University. When he finished his speech, he got a standing ovation. Soon after that, his video went viral and it gathered over 3.5 million views just in few days, and that too in 2005. Basically, he talked about the passion theory, and this is how the theory goes. First, you figure out what you are passionate about, and then find a job that matches your passion. And that's the way to occupational happiness. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and very welcome guest. Now, there is a problem lurking here. Once you look past the feel-good slogan and look deeper into the lives of people like Steve Jobs, how they really got started, and also ask researchers what predicts workplace happiness, then the issue starts to look far more complicated. If we look at Steve Jobs' life, he studied Western history and dance, dropped off college for a year. He worked at a company during night shifts. He then went into a spiritual journey to India for several months. And when he got back, he started to train seriously at the Zen Center. He was then invited by a longtime friend to work at a computer time-sharing company. And when he got back to the job after a little break, he found himself replaced by someone else. Now, why do you think I'm telling his story? Because these are hardly the actions of someone passionate about technology and entrepreneurship. Yet, this was just before a year he started his company, Apple Computer. If a young Steve Jobs decided to work or pursue only work that he loved, he would have probably found himself as one of the most popular teachers at the Zen Center, right? But he didn't follow that simple advice. It's clear from his story that Apple Computer was not born out of passion, but it was a result of a lucky break. Of course, there is no doubt that Steve Jobs grew passionate about his work as he went along. There is another problem. People who believe in this concept have got high expectations from their work. They don't see work as just a job, but as a venue for self-expression, for self-development. They're almost convinced that there is a right job waiting for them. And when they find it, they will immediately recognize that that's the work they were meant to do. But the problem starts. Problem starts when they fail to find that clarity, and bad starts things to follow, such as crippling self-confidence, chronic job hopping. Here is an example of a 26-year-old scientist from Yorkshire. He confessed that his job situation couldn't be more perfect, because in his heart he knew that science is his passion. He loved his job, he loved his office, not quite job, but he loved his office, his colleagues, and even his boss. And then he went on saying, but my perfect job is not perfect enough, because it's not fulfilling. And like any other job, my perfect job also includes difficult responsibilities. And as I start to reassess my career, I found it incredibly hard to find work that sounds appealing. I'm so lost as to what I want to do, and I'm not even sure what I'm sacrificing. These stories are increasingly common across all ages, from college students to the middle-aged people, all pointing to the same conclusion, that passion theory is not just flawed, but it can be dangerous. It can put people into risk, real risk. The depressing question is, how do we find work that we love? Without the passion theory or the concept, how do we find what should we do instead? Here is a practical alternative, not suggested by me, but by very well-known author Cal Newport. Adopt a craftsman's mindset. A mindset that focuses on what you can offer the world. A mindset that offers clarity. It asks you to leave behind self-centered concerns about whether the job is right for you, and instead lets you focus on becoming damn good at what you do. No one owes us a great career. The craftsman approach tells us that become so good at what you do that they can't ignore you. Fellow Toastmasters, this speech was more about how passion concept in itself is not enough. In my next speech, I'm going to talk a little bit more about how we can adopt the craftsman's approach. So I look forward to seeing you all in my next speech.